Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Right, this is lesson number 2 now. So in this lesson we're going to be covering 3 bahars. Okay, so we're going to be doing Bahar al-Tawil, which is this one, and then we're going to be doing Bahar al-Madid and then Basit. So this comes up. A bit of time coming up. As I said. So let's start off then. So what we're going to be focusing on is each bahar has a pattern. So let's say, for example, this is Bahar al-Tawil. So it has a pattern. So we're going to be focusing on, first of all, what the pattern is. That's the first thing we're going to be looking at. Alright, so number 1 is we're going to be looking at the pattern. So let me just write this down. So number 1 is pattern. Okay, so first of all, we're going to be looking at pattern. Number 2, we're going to be looking at the changes. Yeah, so the changes that occur. And number 3, we're going to be applying it to the dials. Okay, so this is the 3 things that we're going to be focusing on today's lesson. So every bahar has a pattern, a fixed pattern. But what can happen is, in that pattern, changes can occur. So when you're studying this, a lot of what you need to remember is you need to learn the changes that can occur. So there's certain changes that can occur and certain changes that cannot occur. Does that make sense? Yeah? Okay, so let's start off with the first one then. So the first pattern is this Al-Bahar Al-Tawil. So what I want you to do is just quickly just do a 1010 on fa'ulun mafa'ilun. So quickly, so just up to there, because the rest of it's going to be exactly the same. So fa'ulun mafa'ilun, quickly do a 1010. So you got 1 minute. Just do a 1010. And then after you've done that 1010, I want you to break it down into what we talked about last lesson. Yeah, when we said about you know, the sabab and the watad. Yeah, so I want you to break it down to that. Yep, done? Tell me when you're done. Okay, one person's done. Okay, so let's have a go then. So fa 1, u 1 0, lun 1 0, ma 1, fa 1, alif 0, ain 1, ya 0 1 0. Yeah, so that's what you should have got. Okay, this is how it should have been broken down. Right, so now what we're going to be looking at is we're going to be looking at how this is like broken down further. So in other words, we're going to break it down into those things that we said before. So fa'u, right, this is broken down. We'll do a different color. Yeah, that's broken down into what we call sabab, watad, majmu'. Okay, so that's watad majmu', WJ, watad majmu'. And 10 is sabab khafif, SK. And then mafa'ilun. So mafa, this is broken down into watad majmu'. And then ilun is broken down into sabab khafif and sabab khafif. This is important to remember. Okay, this is from last week's lesson, so if you can't remember from last week's lesson, you need to go back and watch the video again. Okay, so if you remember last week we talked about the patterns. Yeah, sabab khafif, sabab thaqil, Right, what the majmu', and in this box I told you to break it down as well, what it's made up of. Okay, so that's very, very important for this. Right, so you need to remember that. Everyone got that, yeah? So the same is going to apply, so you can apply the same exactly to the rest of these words. Right, so it's going to be made up of what the majmu' sabu khafif, what the majmu' sabu khafif, sabu khafif, what the majmu' sabu khafif, what the majmu' sabu khafif, like that. Does that make sense? Okay, right. So here, look at this table now. Now you see, this is the original pattern, okay? So if someone asks you, what's the pattern for tawil? So what you're going to say is the pattern for tawil is fa'ulun mafa'ilun fa'ulun mafa'ilun fa'ulun mafa'ilun fa'ulun mafa'ilun. That's the pattern. So da 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 da. That's gonna flow like that. Fa'ulun mafa'ilun fa'ulun mafa'ilun. Right, so you gotta get your vocal cords tuned to this pattern. So okay, now what changes are gonna occur to this? Okay, what changes are gonna occur? So the changes that are gonna occur to this are as follows. So first of all, if you look at this table, remember we said before, this is the middle of the poem. And we said the end of the poem, this is called darb. Yes. And the end of the first part of the couplet is called arood. And then all of this from here up to here, anything from here up to here is called what? Anyone remember? Anything besides the darb and the arood is called the hashu. Excellent, mashallah. Shabash, very good. That's the hashu. That's the hashu. Hashu simply means like extra. Yeah, the extra, the sides. So these are the sides. So now look at this now. In the Bahr al-Tawil, the arood will go through a change known as qabad. Qabad, qabad, qabad. It has to go through this. I'm going to explain to you what qabad is, alright? So don't worry about that yet. But it has to go through the change of qabad. And in the darb can either be sahih, it can either have qabad, or it can have hadaf. These are three changes that can occur to darb. You cannot have any other change to it. Okay, so these are the changes that can occur to the arood and the changes that can occur to the darb. Does that make sense? Okay, one second. Okay. Right. Yeah. Yeah, for darb, three changes. Arood. So this is why they say tawil has one arood, which is qabad. And it has how many darbs? It has three darbs. And they are sahih, qabad, and hadaf. So this is why if you ever find a poem on the tawil pattern and the arood is not qabad or the darb is not one of these three, then it's a mistake, it's wrong. Yeah, it's broken the rules. Make sense? Okay, so these are the rules to do with the arood and to do with the darb. Now, I'm going to tell you the rules to do with the hashu now. So the hashu rules, okay, they are going to come in a bit. Right, so first of all, you see these alterations. These are the alterations. There's 5 alterations that can occur in the whole of the Bahr Tawil. I mean, this is excluding Sahih. I haven't written Sahih here. If you put Sahih, then it's 6. But obviously, Sahih is the default state. Sahih simply means where there's no change. Right? So, besides that, there's 5 alterations that can occur. Yeah, and I've showed you qabad is one of them. Qabad. Hadaf is one of them. Hadaf. Right? But there's also something called kaf, thalm, and tharm. Yeah, kaf, thalm, and tharm. Yeah, so these are some of the alterations that can occur. So before we go to these definitions, I want to show you the summary. This is the khulasa. So this is the summary of the Bahar Tawil. So Bahar Tawil, so bear with me how this works. So this is basically the Arood. These are the Ards. Sorry, Darbs. Yeah, remember we said 3 Darbs. One Darb is the Sahih pattern. One Darb is the Qabad. And one Darb is the Hadaf. Yeah, so these are 3 Darbs and 1 Hadaf. And the Arood is Qabad. And here are the Hashus. So notice, there's 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So he's the person. I've taken this from a book, right? So I'm just, instead of making myself, taking it from him. So what he's done is he's broken it down to 4 parts. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So he's left the Qabad, because obviously that's all done. He's left the Arood, because that's all done. Now the Hashu can go through these changes. Qabad. So fa'ulun, mafa'ilun, fa'ulu. Fa'ulu, mafa'ilun, fa'ulu. That's Qabad, that is. Qabad has occurred on each one of these 3 words. Kaf. Yeah, kaf can only apply to this one. Thalam can only apply to this one, the first, and tharam can only apply to this. So these are all the possible combinations of the different patterns you can have in Tawil with the alterations. Yeah, so these are all the patterns. So let me say it again. So look, the Arood can only take how many alterations? 1, Qabad. Darb can take how many alterations? 3. What are they? Sahih, Qabad, and Hadaf. And the Hashu can take how many alterations? There's 4. So what do the alterations of the Qabad, the Kaf, the Thalam, and Tharam look like? So Qabad looks like this. The Qabad would be Fa'ulu, Mafa'ilun, Fa'ulu, Fa'ulu, Mafa'ilun, Fa'ulu. And Kaf, Mafa'ilu, Mafa'ilu. Thalam, Ulun, Ulun, Tharam, Ulu, Ulu. Now I'm going to teach you what each of these means now. Yeah, sorry, I do have the pointer on the board. I don't know if you can see it. I don't have another pointer I can use. So, that's the pointer. Okay, so you might have to use a bigger screen, maybe if you're using a screen. Or a different, maybe, don't know. So anyway, these are all the possibilities now you need to know. So now we're going to look in how these work, right? So what I've done is I made for you a table. So if you go to this table, this is a table, there's 2 tables I've made. One is known as the Illa table. One is known as the Zihaf table. It's 2 tables. Illa and Zihaf. Okay, so Zihaf basically means any change that is made to a word in the Arood or the Darbs. Okay, so the changes that are made in the Arood or Darbs can either be called Zihafs or they can be called Illas. Right, so these are the 2 types of changes that can be made. So let me just explain to you the ones that we're looking at. So I'm not going to do the whole table. I'm just going to explain to you the one that we're looking at today. So if you look at the first one, Hadaf. What does Hadaf mean? So if you go to the table, it says Hadaf over here. Hadaf. Okay, so Hadaf means remove the sabab khafif. For example, let's say you have a word mafa'ilun. So mafa'ilun is made up of 1, 1, 0. That's a watad. 1 0 1 0. So whenever hadaf occurs to a word, what you're doing is removing the sabab khafif. Okay, so sabab khafif, remember, is that. So that last lun, you remove the lun. Now if you remove the lun, what do you have left? You have mafa'i. Mafa'i. Okay. Okay, jazakallah khair. Okay, can you guys see that? I don't know if you can see or not. Yeah, so mafa'i. So this is, yeah, you just remove the sabab khafif. So sabab khafif, you remove that. Okay, sabab khafif is removed. So here is sabab khafif. So you're left with mafa'i. Does that make sense? So if you look over here, al hadaf. Yeah, so you remove the last one. The last one. Yeah, so you remove the last one. Now, what you do is mafa'i is on the pattern of fa'ulun. So instead of writing fa'ulun, instead of writing mafa'i, you write fa'ulun. So now, whenever sabab khafif is removed from mafa'ilun, instead of saying mafa'i, we're going to say fa'ulun. So going back to this then. So if you look over here, mafa'i, mafa'i, yeah, that's the change. But when you look at it in the tables, in the change that occurs, so let's find a table that has a change of hadaf. So over here, for example. Okay, so over here you have hadaf mahdhuf. Mahdhuf simply means hadaf has taken place by removing the sabab khafif. Okay, so originally this word over here was mafa'ilun. Hadaf has taken place. You remove the sabab khafif, you're left with mafa'i. Mafa'i, yeah, can be rewritten as fa'ulun. Yeah, so ba ghi da fa'ulun. Right, so this is why the pattern now is like this. Fa'ulun, mafa'ilun, fa'ulun, mafa'ilun, fa'ulun, fa'ulun. Everyone understand that? Yeah, so this is a change that takes place. Okay, so if I say to you, the change of hadaf has taken place, all that simply means is a sabab khafif has been removed. Now, when we remove a sabab al-khafif, okay, when we remove a sabab al-khafif from here, if you look at these words, fa'ulun, fa'ulun. Imagine we applied hadaf to fa'ulun. What would be left? Fa'ulun. Imagine we applied sabab khafif hadaf to this fa'ulun. What would be left? Yeah, fa'ul. Have you got that? Imagine we applied hadaf to mafa'ilun. What would be left? Mafa'i. Does that make sense? Yeah? However, remember, hadaf does not occur in the hashu. We have no... Hadaf does not occur in the hashu. Where does hadaf occur? Hadaf only occurs in the darb. Okay, so remember that. So if ever hadaf occurs in one of these other ones, then that's a mistake, that is. That's a mistake. Okay, let's go to the next one then. Next one is qabad. Okay, so let's go to our table. So qabad, okay, is over here. This is qabad. So what is qabad? Is remove the sakin. So I've made this table slightly different. So you look at the fifth letter and you remove the sakin. So for example, like fa'ulun. 1 0, sorry, 1 1 0 1 0. Yeah, so 1 2 3 4 5. The fifth letter, if it's a sakin, remove it. So what are you left with? Fa'ulu. Yeah, fa'ulu. And fa'ulu is written as fa'ulu. Okay, so this is called qabad. Okay, qabad. So qabad is the removal of the fifth sakin. The fifth letter if it's a sakin. So let's go back to this table again. Okay, so that's qabad. So let me go up. So now imagine over here, fa'ulun. If you apply qabad to fa'ulun, it becomes fa'ulu. Mafa'ilun. If you apply qabad to mafa'ilun, what's going to happen to it? What is it going to become? Very good. Mafa'ilun. Yeah, it's going to be mafa'ilun. So, mafa'ilun. Is there any other way that we can rewrite this? No, we can't rewrite it as fa'ulun. Yeah, because it doesn't fit the pattern. Does that make sense? There's too many letters there. Yeah, so mafa'ilun. No, we don't remove from the second to last. Qabad applies to the fifth sakin. So when you start from the beginning, the fifth sakin, 1 2 3 4 5. Yeah, it's just a rule that applies to the fifth sakin. The fifth letter with a sukun on it. Yeah. Okay, so that's qabad, that is. Qabad can apply to, like we said over here, look. Qabad can apply to the here, qabad can apply over here, and qabad can apply in the hashu as well. So if qabad was to apply to all the 8 words, then it would turn out something like this. Fa'ulu mafa'ilun, fa'ulu mafa'ilun, fa'ulu mafa'ilun, fa'ulu mafa'ilun. That's how it would be. Does that make sense? Yeah, so this is correct, meaning if you find a poem that followed this pattern, that pattern would be correct because it's following the adjustments, the changes which are permitted. Okay, next. Kaf. Okay, so let's go to the illa table. So we have over here, where's kaf? Okay, kaf's over here. So kaf is the removal of the seventh sakin. So seventh letter, if it's a sakin, remove it. For example, like 1 1 0 1 0 1 0. Okay, you tell me which one am I going to remove? What is it going to become? What am I going to remove? The noon, excellent. So the noon is going to go. So when the noon goes, you're left with mafa'ilu. And mafa'ilu is written as mafa'ilu. Yeah, it's written as mafa'ilu. So this is known as kaf. And this is found in hazj, in mudari as well. And like the one we just now, tawil as well. Yeah, so this is known as kaf. So whenever kaf comes, simply all that means is the seventh sakin you remove. Seventh sakin. So let's have a look at this table then. So for instance, can we apply kaf to fa'ulun? Can kaf be applied to fa'ulun? No. So therefore we don't apply to this, we don't apply to this, we don't apply to this, we don't apply to this. The only one we can apply it to is this one. Remove the noon, remove the noon. And can we apply it to the arood? Can we apply kaf to the arood? No, we can't. Yeah, we're not allowed to, because remember we said the arood can only be qabad in tawil. Only allowed to be qabad. And can we apply it to darb? Can we apply to the darb? No, we can't. Because the arood, the darb has to be one of these three: sahih, qabad, or hadaf. So if you go to this table now this starts to make more sense now. In kaf, it only applies to that one and this one. This one and that one. These two only. Okay, next, let's look at the next one. Okay, thalam, or it's known as kharam. So thalam and kharam, that's in this table here. So you'll have to keep referring back to this table until you perfect it, until it becomes second nature to you. So okay, thalam is here. So this only applies to the beginning of a block in a couplet. So the first block in the couplet, it only applies to that first one. Yeah, it does not apply to any of the other ones. Remember that. So thalam, removal of the first mutaharrik. Mutaharrik means a letter with a vowel on it. Yeah, so you remove the first letter that has a vowel. For example, like fa'ulun. Which letter in fa'ulun is the first letter with a vowel? Fa. So you remove the fa. What are you left with? Ulun. Ulun. Okay. And so you go back to here and you look at this then. So now let's say we wanted to apply thalam to fa'ulun. We remove the fa. Can we apply thalam to mafa'ilun? Can we apply to mafa'ilun? No, we can't, because remember we said thalam can only apply to the first block. The first block. It can't be applied to any of the other ones. Right, so now if you look back at the table, now the table makes more sense now. Yeah, ulun only applies to the first of the block. So this is the first of the first couplet part, and the second part of the couplet, that's the first. Okay, and finally tharam. Okay, so tharam is that one. So let's go to here. Tharam is the same as thalam. It only applies to the beginning of a block in the couplet. Yeah, so tharam is thalam plus qabad. So look, it's a combination. So it's this. So what is this? Removal of the first mutaharrik and qabad. What's qabad? Qabad is remove the fifth sakin. So two things you got to bear in mind now. So let's go back then. If you remember that. So, okay, actually, let's go to this table here. So, for example, fa'ulun. So, fa, why do we remove fa? Because of thalam. And why do we remove noon for? Because of qabad. What are we left with? When we applied both qabad, ulu. Yeah, ulu is left. Yeah, that's thalam. These two are extremely rare. You will not find these other places. Very, very rare these are. In tawil, you'll find it. Yeah, so, but like I said, both of these only apply to the first part of the block. Yeah, so this is why they can only apply to this one and they can only apply to this one. They cannot apply to any other one. Yeah, only those two. So now if you look at this summary, now the summary makes more sense now. That ulu, like that. Does that make sense? Now it's a lot to take in. I know it's a lot to take in, right? But if you go through these examples here, slowly you'll start to make sense of it. It will start to make a lot of sense. So now, for example, like if I say to you, so if I block this and I say, okay, how many changes can occur to an arood? Yeah, tawil. Very good. So when they say tawil at the end of a poem, that's what they mean. Very good. So, okay, how many changes can occur to the arood? How many changes can occur to the arood? And what is it? Just one. Yeah, and that is qabad. How many changes can occur to the darb? How many changes can occur to the darb? Yeah, 3. Sahih. Yeah, I mean 2, yeah, technically, but sahih, qabad, and hadaf. How many changes can occur to the hashu? Yeah, 4. Qabadh, kaf, salam, saram. These two are quite rare, the last two, but the other two are quite common. The first two are quite common. Okay, and so, once we've done that, let's look at some poems now. So, if you look at this poem, أبا منذر كانت غرورا صحيفتي ولم أؤتكم في الضوء مالي ولا إردي. Okay, so you guys can work this out. You can try and work this out for yourselves. 3 to darb, 4 to hashu. Excellent, very good. So now look at this now. So if you break this down, أبا من فأول ذر كانت مفاعيل غرورا فعولا مفاعل صحيفتي ولم أع فعول تكم في الطوع فمفاعيل عمالي أو إمالي فعول ولا عردي مفاعيل. Yeah, so this is the poem for that. And like I said, you need to have a rhythm with it as well. So maybe you could say something like this. أبا منذر كانت غرورا صحيفتي ولم أعطكم في الطوع عمالي ولا عردي. Yeah, so you can come up with your own kind of tone, so long as the tone kind of flows. Okay, so let's look at these now. So it says fa'ulun. Has fa'ulun changed? Has there any change occurred to fa'ulun? Yeah, no change occurred to fa'ulun, yes? So we call this salim. Salim basically is another word for sahih. Yeah, sometimes they use the word sahih, sometimes they use salim. They usually use the word salim for hashu. It's salim. Mafa'ilun is salim, untouched. No fatha on the end of. If it taw'i, the third to last word. Okay, we'll come to that inshallah. Okay, so salim, salim, salim. Yeah, no change. Mafa'ilun, any change occurred to mafa'ilun? Any change occurred there? Mafa'ilun. Yes, it has. Yeah, it was ilun. Mafa'ilun, the ya has been cut off. Remember, when the ya is cut off, the fifth sakin is cut off, you call it qabadh. So maqbood is another word for qabadh. Qabadh. Okay, salim, fa'ulun. And salim. Okay, again. Yeah, no change. And salim. So this originally is actually mali. This is mali. This isn't really, there's not supposed to be a fathan here, it's supposed to be a sukun there. Yeah, mali, stretch. Yeah, imali. So salim. And finally, sahih. Sahih means salim, but they usually use sahih for the darb and the arood. If the arood or the darb is without change, they call it sahih. And if the hashu is without change, they call it salim. Okay, so this is one example that we've gone through now. Let's do another one. Yeah, any question on this one? Yeah, so originally, the sahih means unchanged. Yeah, originally mafa'ilun is mafa'ilun, so no change. Sahih just means no change, like salim. Both same thing. Remember we said the darb can only take 3 changes. 3 things can occur for the darb. Sahih, qabadh, and hadaf, that's all. And the arood can only have one situation, which is qabadh. Okay, let's do the next one then. Right, so again, لقد علم الأقوام أن ابن هاشم هو الغصن ذو الأفنان للواحد الوغد. So again here, So fa'ulun over here is changed into fa'ulu. So qabad, salim, salim, qabad, salim, 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 sahih. Yeah, so in this one, the only difference from the first one was that the first word has got qabad in there. So instead of fa'ulun, it's fa'ulu. Yeah, everyone got that? I'm just going to do a few. I'm going to leave the rest to you guys to work out. So you can work it out for yourselves. And then, you know, it's better that you apply it to yourself instead of me kind of spoon feeding you the exercises. Okay, we'll do one more and the rest you can do for yourself. So, again, وَمَنْ لَا يَضُدْ عَنْ حَوْدِهِ بِسِلَاحِهِ. So, فَعُولٌ مَفَاعِيلٌ فَعُولُ مَفَاعِلٌ. Okay, so here, what changes have occurred? Has this changed? No, Salim. Has this changed? No, Salim. Fa'ulu, has this changed? Yes, it's changed. What's happened? The noon at the end has cut off. Yeah, so it's called qabad. Yeah, maqbood. Mafa'ilun, has that changed? Yes. Remember, this always has to be maqbood. If you get something else, it's wrong. Has to be qabad. Salim, Salim, Salim. And this one, maqbood. Mafa'ilun. Yeah, so fa'ulun, mafa'ilun, fa'ulu, mafa'ilun, fa'ulun, mafa'ilun, fa'ulun, mafa'ilun. Make sense? Okay, now there's just one little thing I want to point out to you guys. You know, when you get something, I don't have an example of it here. I will have an example of it here. You know, if you ever get mahdhuf, okay, if you ever get mahdhuf, hadaf that has occurred, right? Yeah, if you ever get mahdhuf, hadaf that's occurred, you know the word before it must be qabad. This is like a side note to remember. If ever this is hadaf, if ever the darb is hadaf in tawil, the word before it must be qabad. That's just something is fixed in the Arabic language. Okay, so just keep that in mind and inshallah you'll be fine. Yeah, correct. The foot here, is it called the foot? The foot before the... It's a good one. Okay, so the rest you guys try. If you have any problems, yeah, if you have any problems, then you can ask me. Okay, good one. Why is one maqbooda? Why is one maqbood? Because remember, this is called arood, which is masculine. Yeah, sorry, this is arood, and arood is considered to be like feminine. It's treated as feminine, and darb is treated as masculine. So because they treat the word arood as feminine, they say maqbooda. And for masculine darb, they say maqbood. And there's other opinions why they say this, but generally that's the main kind of reason. Make sense? It's the same thing. It's the same thing. It's just like an Arabic rule, grammar rule. Yeah, hashu is masculine. Hashu is masculine. Okay, now I want you guys to try this for yourselves. Yeah, so that's why they say that, you know, because it's treated as a feminine. Yeah, jama. And some have other reasons. So I want you to try this for yourselves for in your own time in the week. And I want you to try this as well. So I've given you a little exercise here. I've written 2 poems. Yeah, 1, 2, 1, 2. One of them is correct and the other one is faulty, you have to go through them and you have to find out which one's correct, which one's faulty. Yeah, which one's according to the rule and which one breaks the rule. Yeah, so you can practice that inshallah for next lesson. Okay, let's move on to the next then. Okay, the next is called Madid. So Madid follows this pattern. Fa'ilatun, fa'ilun, fa'ilatun, fa'ilatun, fa'ilun, fa'ilat. So it's got 6. It has 6 blocks to it. Yeah, it's got 6 taf'ilas or blocks. It's called taf'ilas, blocks. Okay, so now what are the patterns for this? So the arood for this, you have sahih, hadaf, 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 al-batar, al-batar. Yeah, so sahih, hadaf, and batar. You get 3 possibilities for the arood. And for the darb, you can have sahih, qasar, hadaf, hadaf plus khaban, and batar. Yeah, so you've got quite a few here. So let's look at the khulasa, the summary then. So the summary, basically, you can have in the arood, you can have 3 possibilities there. Yeah, 1, 2, 3. And in the darb, if the darb is sahih, then if the arood is sahih, then the darb has to be sahih as well. Yeah, it must be. So in other words, the sahih arood can only have a sahih darb. Okay, sahih arood can only have sahih darb. Okay, the next one is fa'ilun. So if the arood comes on the pattern of fa'ilun, in that case, it can have 3 possibilities of the darb. Yeah, so in other words, if the arood is hadaf, if it's hadaf, then we can have 3 possibilities. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, it can either be what is known as qasar, hadaf, or hadaf plus khaban. Hadaf plus khaban. Yeah. So these are the 3 possibilities. And finally, if the arood is butter, this is called butter, like the butter that you put on your toast. Yeah, the butter. So butter, then the darb can be of 2 types. You can have 2 types of butter. This is butter. This is known as butter al-awwal, and this is known as al-butter al-thani. First butter, second butter. Yeah, so these are the possibilities that you can have. So this is a bit more complicated than the tawil one, but it's the same principles that apply. Exactly the same way that we're going to apply. Hashu, what can we have in hashu? 3 things in hashu. Khaban, kaf, and shakal. Yeah, you can have those 3. So let's have a look at what each one of these is about. So okay, so first of all, let's look at qasar. So let's go to the table. Qasar is remove the second letter of the sabab, khafif, and give the first a sakin. So for example, like, let's say we had the word fa'ilatun. So let me change the color here so it doesn't get mixed up. So you got the word, for example, fa'ilatun. Can I get rid of these? Very clear. Put that again. So fa'ilatun, remember we're going to remove the second letter of the sabab. So 1 0 1 1 0 1 0. So sabab khafif tun. Remove that noon. Second letter of sabab khafif. Remove the noon. And the letter before it, give it a sakin. So the tu, we change that into a sakin. So what you left with? Fa'ilan. Fa'ilan. Okay, so we got fa'ilan. That's what qasar means. So you go back to this then. So you go over here and you can see fa'ilan. Yeah, so you remove the last letter of sabab khafif and the letter before it, give it sukun. Fa'ilan. Next, hadaf. So we done hadaf already. Yeah, just to remind you what hadaf was. So we said hadaf was remove the sabab khafif. So you remove the entirety of the sabab khafif. Left with mafa'i, and we said we rewrite this as fa'ulun. Okay, so if you go here, you can see the hadaf occurs. So it becomes fa'ilun. Because its pattern originally, its pattern was what? It was fa'ilatun. Yeah, so if you remove fa'ilatun, we're left with fa'ilun. So it's rewritten as fa'ilun. Okay, and then we have batar. So batar, let's look at what batar is. So batar is hadaf plus qata. So it's a combination of this and this. Two things. So hadaf is remove the sabab khafif entirety, and qata is remove the end of a watad majmu' and sakin to letter, and give sakin to the letter before it. Yeah, so qata basically is this. So you remove the entire, not the entire, the end of the watad majmu' and sakin to the letter before it. So mustaf'ilun is made up of mustaf'ilun. That's a watad there. So you remove the nun and you give a sakin to that word. Yeah, so mustaf'il, and you rewrite it as maf'ulun. So you got to apply both of these to the word now. So let's see if we can apply both of these to fa'ilat. So let's say you have the word fa'ilatun. So what do? We remove the sabab khafif entirety. Okay, that's gone. What are we left with? Fa'ila. So 1 1 0, and then we remove the last letter, remove the 0, and you give sakin to the word before it. So you're left with fa'il. Fa'il. And fa'il can be rewritten as fa'lun. Fa'lun. Okay, fa'lun. As you can see over there. Everyone with me? Fa'lun. So I mean, it's quite systematic. The way these rules work, very, very systematic. Okay, khaban. So we did khaban before, and we did kaf before. So khaban simply was to remove the sakin from the second letter. Yeah. So remove the sakin. So fa'ilun, remove the entire alif. You're left with fa'ilun. And kaf was to remove the seventh. Yeah, remove the seventh sakin. Okay, so in this case, fa'ilatun. So seventh sakin removed. You're left with fa'ilatu. Fa'ilatu. Yeah, so fa'ilatu, that's kaf. Okay, and yeah, qabad, it's all standard throughout the whole thing. And what I'm going to do is, next lesson, I'm going to give you a whole table. I don't want to give you now because I don't want to kind of overwhelm you with charts. But next time I'm going to give you a table so that you can apply to all the different blocks, qabad, all the different blocks, kaf, all the different blocks. And you can see how it works across the board. And finally, shakal. So shakal, okay, shakal is this one over here. Now you see, shakal is slightly different. So let me just give you. Shakal is a combination of khaban and kaf. Yeah. So khaban plus kaf put together becomes shakal. So what are we looking at? we're looking at removing the second sakin and removing the seventh sakin. So removing the second sakin and the seventh sakin. Right, that's what that is. Second sakin and the seventh sakin. This is called shakal. Shakal. Right, so let's say we had the word fa'ilatun. We're going to remove the second sakin. So fa'ilatun, let's remove the second sakin. So there. And we're going to remove the seventh sakin. Noon. What you left with? Fa'ilatu. Fa'ilatu. Okay, that's what shakal is. And there you have it. So let's give it a go. So look back at this table then. So this table tells us how many urood can we have? 3 urood. Yeah, we can have sahih, hadaf, batar. How many darb can we have? Well, it depends. If the arood is sahih, the darb can only be sahih. If the arood is hadaf, then the darb can be 3 possibilities: qasr, hadaf, or hadaf plus khabar. And if the arood is batar, then you can have batar 1 or batar 2. Okay, so let's look at this example then. So look, Ya la bakrin anshiru li kulayban. Ya la bakrin ayna al-firaru. Yeah, so Ya la bakrin anshiru li kulayban. Ya la bakrin ayna al-firaru. Da 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 do, like that. Yeah, so remember the beats as well. So anyway, so the first part, fa'ilatun, it's salim, it's fine. Fa'ilun, salim, it's fine. Sahiha, it's fine. Salim, fine. Salim, fine. Sahih, fine. Yeah, no changes there. Let's do another one. Okay, so la yaghurran namra'an aishuhu kullu aishin sa'irum للزوال. So لا يغرن فائلات صحيح. نمرأ فائل صحيح. عيشه, oh, this is changed. فائل, this is محذوف. Yes, remember we said حذف. Okay, so حذف has occurred here. The removal of the sabab khafif at the end. So originally فائلات become فائل. And كل عيش فائلات صائر فائل صحيح. للزوال فائلان. This is qasr. So qasr has taken place there. Okay, so that's another. Again, have a go at these ones. Try to figure them out, and then you can try this. Find the couplet with the mistake. Again, as I said in the first one, 1, 2, 1, 2. One of them is correct, one of them is wrong. You have to spot which one is right, which one's wrong. Okay, the other one we'll do for next week, inshallah. So this one, basit. I wanted to do it today, but I just didn't get a chance. So inshallah, I'll leave this for next lesson, inshallah. Okay, I just want to mention one thing about these, the first two couplets. The tawil. Okay, so this is something you can write down, okay? So I'm not going to write it down, I'll just say it to you so you guys can get an idea. So first of all, tawil, right, tawil. The reason it's called tawil is because tawil in Arabic means long. And it's long because it contains the longest number of letters, 48 letters, yeah, in the whole Bahr. That's why it's called tawil. Yeah, 48 letters. So you count all of them, it comes with 48. And this tawil is actually used for several reasons by poets. Poets, when they use the Bahr Tawil, the aims of Bahr Tawil, yeah, so that's the reason why they call it Tawil, because it contains 48 letters. And the reasons why people use the Bahr Tawil is for several reasons. Number one, they use it for pride, yeah, boasting. So when they want to boast about something, a topic, boast about their horses or boast about their tribes or boast about their language, they find using tawil pattern to be more effective. Or bravery. Number 2, they use for bravery. Yeah, so pride, bravery. Number 3, they use it for praising something. So when they want to praise something, they'll bring the qasida, the poem, in the form of Bahr Tawil. Number 4 is if they want to make some sort of resemblance with something. So they want to resemble things. Number 5, if they want to talk about history, things that happened in their past, they'll bring it on the Bahr Tawil. And number 6 is for different conditions, changing of conditions, sadness and happiness, and changing of conditions, they bring Bahr Tawil. Okay, so these are the different reasons generally you'll find in Arabic poetry why people bring this for. Okay, now you'll find this in a lot of the classical poems. Like for example, you'll find this in Imru al-Qais's Sabah Muallaqat in the 7 Odes, Imru al-Qais, Zuhair in the 7 Odes, and Tarfa. These 3, they use the pattern of Tawil. Yeah, because it's very powerful. It's a very good way of trying to express yourself. Okay, that's Tawil. Let's go to the next one, Madid. Ya Allah. Inshallah, inshallah. Will I be in course? Hopefully, inshallah. Make dua, inshallah. Okay, so Madid, the reason they say it's called Madid is because of the stretching. Madid means to stretch. And they say it's called Madid because it stretches the sababs. So you got like a sabab over here, and you got a sabab over here, so it's like stretching it. That's why some of them say it's called Madid, stretching. And this is the least used Bahr you have in Arabic poetry. So much so that the Arabic poets in the Jahili period, they found this pattern to be very heavy. Yeah, they found it extremely heavy. So they didn't find it easy for them to express themselves. Yeah, and in like, cumbersome. And you find it very kind of rare usage of it. But it does occur, so you'll find it sometimes, but not as much as Tawil. Tawil is very prevalent. Okay, and that's it, guys. Now, the reason today I chose these 3 patterns, right? The reason I chose these 3 patterns was because these 3 patterns, they all fall under one da'ira. It's called Da'ira Mukhtalif. So if you go to that, the other one that I gave you, guys, here, there's 5 dials. So this falls under one of the dials. See, Bahr Tawil, Bahr Madid, and Bahr Basit. So it basically works like this. If you start from here, so 1 2 1 1 0 1 0, Fa'ulun, Ma Fa'ilun, Fa'ulun, Ma Fa'i, etc. You go all the way around, it'll work. If you start from here, okay, if you start from the next one, right, from Mafa'i, then it's the pattern of Fa'ilatun, Fa'ilun. So if you look, let me change the color of this so you can see. Fa'ilatun, 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 Ilatun, yeah, Fa'ilatun, Fa'ila, Fa'ilatun, etc., etc. And it goes around like that. And then if you start from here where that blue one is, then it will be the next pattern which we haven't done today, which is Bahr Basit, Mustaf'ilun. So Mustaf'ilun, Mustaf'ilun, Mustaf'ilun. Yeah, so this is basically how the circles work. So the dairas, the circles, they work in that fashion. So you go around, you go around, you go around. Now, if you remember last week I said to you guys about trying to apply it yourself. So I gave you, at the end, I gave you some examples over there. So you can try this yourselves on these patterns and see, just see how you can work it out. Try to figure out if any of these do come under the tawil. Yeah, so fa'ulun, mafa'ilun. Now you try to work out of the different types of tawil, which pattern does this follow? Yeah, what kind of arood is it? What kind of darb is it? Yeah, so remember, it's supposed to, mafa'ilun, supposed to finish there, half. Fa'ulun, mafa'ilun, fa'ulun, mafa'ilun. Fa'ulun, mafa'ilun, fa'ulun, mafa'ilun. So, which one's that? So you can work that out. And over here as well. Yeah, fa'ulun, fa'ulun, well, we haven't done that one yet, so you don't have to do that. Okay, and that's it, guys. So, any questions on that? I don't want to rush it, that's the thing. I don't want to give you too much. So I could have finished the basit today, but I didn't want to do that because then it becomes too overwhelming, and I think you really need to focus on trying to understand the breakdown of each sentence. Yeah, so alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. And once you've understood the concept, the rest of it's going to be very quick, because in your mind you've already understood how these things work. So it's just, you can use the tables yourself to kind of figure out the others as well. Yeah, a lot to take in, definitely. Watch the video again, inshallah, and try. Just remember, take it bit by bit. First of all, break it down into ones and zeros, and then try and understand how the change occurs in the ones that we've done so far, tawil, right? And apply it. Main thing is application. Apply it to the rest of these, the ones that we haven't done today. Apply it to them, inshallah. And what I'll try and do, I'll try to make some extra videos of practice as well. Any other questions, guys? Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. And guys, I hope you guys are singing this in the week. I was just singing all week. Yeah, I hope you guys have been singing this. Alright guys, jazakumullah.